Hi everyone, how are you this Tuesday afternoon? This is Bess McCarty, coach for network marketers and also called the Shrink of MLM, bringing to you today a sample of our Quick Start Basics class that I teach in our school for network marketers that I teach with Jeffrey David Gamble, who I'm going to bring online in just a moment. Our topic today is how to increase retention. And we know that with all of the hard work of finally getting up the nerve to talk to people in network marketing, and then talking to a lot of people in network marketing, and then bringing them in only to have them quit. It's real discouraging because of all the work, only a few join, and the few that join sometimes quit. So we want to address this because most network marketers quit within the first 2 months, and most don't do anything at all. Now, some people tackle that by just recruiting a whole lot of people. I know one top earner who signs up massive amounts of people but does not have a good retention rate. So how can we do both? How can we both sign up a lot of people but also keep them in and get a greater return on investment for all of our hard work in network marketing and recruiting? I'm speaking for network marketers. I'm not in a company myself. I'm dedicated to being a generic coach now, although I was full-time for years as network marketing. So that's what we're going to address today. And I'd like to welcome Alex, Scott, Marilyn. Hey, everybody. I spent the hour since the last live session make my list of things I want to do. Good, because this morning Alex would. Good for you, Alex. Alex was on a live this morning of our MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, where we address the 21, we teach one of the 21 laws of leadership each Monday through Friday, noon Eastern Time. And so today, Jeff Gamble was talking about how to know yourself, because you are who you attract. So how to know yourself and how to then attract the people that have the same type of goals that you do. So going to invite Jeff on so that we can take advantage of what he wants to share too. We both want to share. And by the way, this class, this live right now is a sample of our Quick Start Basics class that we teach on Sunday nights for network marketers. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Time every Sunday night, and it is recorded. For one lady I just talked with today is joining the class, but she works at that time, so it's recorded for everybody too, so they can hear the replays as well. We teach this class through our school, the MLM Millionaire Club, our school for network marketers, which we partner to do. While we're waiting for Jeff to appear here, I will tell you a little bit of our story. I used to be a full-time network marketer for years, helped me raise my son as a single mom. Loved it. I have to overcome a lot of fear to do it, so I know what it takes. My company went out of business. I became a body-mind therapist, went to school to do that, and then I ended up training body-mind therapists and holistic health practitioners for 15 years in the school at Body Mind College in San Diego, where I lived. So, and then as I went into coaching, that was 30 years ago that I went into the coaching field, and realized that I wanted to niche down and specifically coach network marketers, because I really believe in this profession. It helps parents to be home with their kids, people to fire bad bosses, seniors to have better retirement, and students to pay off loans, and other people to pay off debt. I don't know a better opportunity in this, a better way in this economy for people to have a better life than network marketing. So I have become a passionate advocate of it and enjoy teaching the skills and the mindset in the school, the MLM Millionaire Club. And I met Jeffrey David Gamble about 4 years ago on Eric Worre's page, and we began talking and just staying in touch over the years. It was this year that I found out it was in May, that we talked a long time one night, and I found out the methods that he uses, and I said, oh, I've got to bring this to my school. I'm committed to bringing the very best to them, so I'm dedicated to do that. So would you be a guest speaker in the school? And he generously gave of his time over and over. And we just realized, wow, we're going to be teaching together in this school. So that's how we got together. Met 4 years ago, and it was just this year in June that we really combined forces. And people are loving it on our Sunday night classes. So that we also wanted to bring you a sample of these every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to, let's see. Be right back. Going to message him, make sure that his time, that didn't interrupt. Oh, Lisa's on. Lisa's a student in the school. Welcome. And got any feedback for the people for the class? How you like the classes? That would be cool. So what I'm going to do is, until Jeff can join us, I'm going ahead and present to you how to increase retention. Because one of the people in our lunchtime show, that Jeff and I also do an MLM lunchtime leadership show at noon Eastern time, we cover one of the 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell each weekday. And so the other day, one of the viewees in there, Debbie DeGrande, mentioned that she would like to learn more about how to increase retention. So we decided to address that on that show and also make that the whole topic of this Facebook Live. So I'll go ahead and give you my part of that now. So how do we do both? How do we sign up people and make that work, make that stick, all that hard work that we did to you know, get up our nerve to talk to people and do that a lot, and finally find a few of those who actually join the company and then don't do anything or quit. So I'm going to talk about that specifically here. Let me start with customers. There he is. Okay, wants to be in. Bring them on camera. Add. Cool. I'm going to let begin.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey,
awesome.
Jeff. Awesome.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm cutting. So why don't I let and then
Okay.
how to increase
So, what we're talking about is how to increase retention. Couple things. I know Bess just started off by talking about customers, and that's one of the things. What I'm basically going to focus on is retention based on relationships. And what I found is the number one thing that will increase retention in your business is, number one, staying in touch with people and making people feel comfortable. So what I learned how to do first is reach out. And there's two groups of people you're going to talk to in teams. The first group is the team that you recruited, you personally recruited. And the number one thing that I've learned about retention there is trying not to be the trainer. I try not to be the trainer. With frontline people that I actually recruit, I'm not the trainer. I'm not the teacher. I'm just the friend that's going to lead you to somebody else. What I want to do is identify what your personality is, and I want to match you up with somebody you like to learn from, and I'm going to try as hard as I can to introduce you to the system. The number one thing that helped me or freed me up in the industry, and this actually helped me a lot, is I always had a problem constantly being, quote unquote, pushing people to things. So what I needed to do is I needed to find a way that made me more comfortable about that, because I didn't feel comfortable actually constantly calling up, be like, you have to get to this meeting, you have to get to the open house, you have to get to the training, you have to get to the regional, you have to get on this call. I didn't like that. So what I did is I came up with a way to have a conversation with people, and it actually came from coaching. And I started learning about coaching, and one of the things, the worst thing you can do outside of being pushy is not telling people anything they need to be at, right? So it's not informing. Over informing is actually probably the second worst thing, right? The first worst thing is never telling them the right things to do to begin with. So what I wanted to do is I needed a way to have this conversation on a regular basis. So I sat down, I learned who they were, I learned what their personality was, I have that agent form, but this is actually one of the most important questions that I ever learned how to ask outside of what I do when, the favor script is, now that you're involved in the company, regardless of what level you want to participate, do I have your permission? This changed my business. Do I have your permission to let you know about everything that's going on? I don't care if you go. I don't care if you show up. I don't care if you, commit 100%. I don't care if you commit 2%. But my job is to let you know that there are things going on. It's your job if you want to go or not. I'm uninvolved emotionally in your decision whether you want to participate or not. Is that cool? And people are like, yeah, that's fine. I said, so what would you rather me do? Would you rather me call you or would you rather me text me? 99% of the time, people wanted a text message. I said, great. What I'm going to do is anytime there's an event, anytime there's a call, anytime there's any special, I said, I'm just going to text you and let you know about that. Is that okay? Yeah, that's cool. What I found is my retention went through the roof when I did this because now I had permission to actually inform them on everything that was ever going on. And it made it really simple. So what I did is I made a list of everybody in those categories. Now, you can do the exact same thing with people who don't even get in. Which is amazing. People who don't even get in. Hey, now that you know what I do, I know you're not interested right now, but do I have your permission to let you know about all the great things that are going on? Any changes? If there's ever a change made, do I have your permission to, at least inform you and let you know, at least keep in touch with you, just so if you ever run across somebody, I can, keep the word out there. About half of the people are like, yeah, that's cool, that's fine. So what I did is I got their permission. Basically, I got their permission to bug the crap out of them. That's the nice way of saying it. And that wasn't my intention, is to bug them. My intention was just to keep in front of them and keep the information in front of them because there's so much noise out there now. And what I mean by noise is there's Facebook and there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, and you get email notifications and you get news notifications and you get Amber Alerts and there's all these different notifications. And then there's TV and then there's your friends. So there's so much different input coming in. I just wanted to be a constant source. So what I always tried to do is I would stay in touch with people on a positive note anytime I could. And I kind of made it 80-20. 80% of the time, it was always talking about, hey, how are you? What's going on? How's life? If whatever they like, I try to find out what they like, if they like sports, if they like music, if they like the arts, if they like, the weather, whatever they like, that's what I stay in touch with them on. And then 20% of the time is, kind of, did you know this is coming up, or did you know this event? Do you have your ticket for it already? I try to just, based on who they are, and their personality. I know some people I just had to ask, are you registered? Are you registered? If they're registered, I knew because of that person's personality, the rest of the details they'd figure out. Then there were other people who are more kind of like, they were kind of wishy-washy what they do. I would say, hey, do you have everything together? Oh, yeah. Okay, do you have everything together? And do you have, a babysitter? Oh, my gosh, I forgot a babysitter. Okay, well, you shouldn't leave your kids at home unsupervised. You can do that with a cat or dog, but probably not a good idea to leave a 2 and a 4-year-old by themselves, or 5. And I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of not. It's not that they would have ever left them. It's that they would have forgot to call the babysitter ahead of time, and then they would have tried at the last minute and not shown up because they didn't plan ahead, because certain personalities don't plan ahead like that. So if it's a convention, I would do the same thing. Hey, I know you have your ticket. Do you have what hotel you're going to stay at? No. Do you know what room you're going to stay in? No. Do you know who you're going to stay with? Because I know it's a money thing, and you were talking about staying with somebody. Do you have that worked out? So what I would do is I would list out all the different problems. And, people are like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. Here's what I can tell you, and I know Eric Worre says the exact same thing. In this business, if you want to make big money, you are the highest paid professional babysitter in the world. You're the highest paid professional babysitter. And really, you're not babysitting, you're directing. Okay, so beginners and new people need directions. If you read the book Leading at a Higher Level by Ken Blanchard, he said new people, the majority of people are going to be new. So 80% of your time is going to be dealing with new people. New people. Now, if they're front line to you, you have to get that permission thing to be able to kind of tell them this stuff, or find somebody else who can tell them this. Does this make sense? Now, here's the thing. If you're not going to any of the events and you're not plugged in, your ability to retain people is probably zero. I mean, I'm brutally honest about this. If you want to retain people and you're not plugged in, your ability to retain people is going to be zero. Why? Because what they're going to do, if you're not plugged in, that means this person is 100% reliable on what you and you alone are doing. That's not good. That's not good in most cases. So what you want to do is, Tom's with us, what's happening? What you want to do is to retain people, you have to be 100% plugged in. Then what you have to do is get permission to gently plug them into everything, and people will then be in at their own pace. My goal is to build a friendship and a relationship with them once they're in. Nothing more than that. My goal is to help them, move them to wherever they want to get to. If they want to get to, ordering once a month, I might call them, every once in a while, just to kind of check in. Hey, everything cool? How's the product? How's the service? Whatever company you're in, you kind of have to, how'd you like this? How'd you like that? My goal is to introduce them to new things that we do. If there's a new product, hey, have you tried this? No. Oh, great. I'll ship you one. Hey, do you have the newest updated, if there's a magazine or catalog, I would get them that. That was back in the day. Now everything's online. Hey, do you know the Black Friday specials coming? Have you looked at that? No. If there was a sheet to print out with different pricing, I would get everybody those. So I'm constantly, as a leader, looking ahead at what's coming up and informing people on what's coming up. That's why it's so important to have a calendar. So if you want to retain people, watch this. If you want to retain people on your team, you have to have a plan of where you're going to begin with. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, you can't retain a bunch of people in the jungle if you're like, hey, let's sit around and just see who gets eaten first. I mean, that's kind of what people's goal is in the industry, is they'll get in and they'll be like, well, I don't really have a path and you don't have a path. So let's sit around and see which one of us, gets killed off first, and people are like, I'm out of here. And what they're looking for is they're looking for belonging. There's certain things people look for inside of groups. They're looking for energy. They're looking for attitude. They're looking for belonging. They're looking for people to have a purpose. They're looking for people to have a mission. They're looking for people to have a vision. They're looking for people who have core values like they have values. So getting to know these people, here's the ultimate retention. And I learned this from one of the biggest, baddest people in the industry. He sponsored 50 people frontline and had 25 legs that were millionaires. 50 people frontline he sponsored, 25 of those legs became millionaire legs. That's pretty good. I mean, that's really good, actually. There's nobody in history that's done that. He made $450 million in commissions in the industry. And he said these two things. He goes, you don't really know your people. You don't really know your people until you know their kids' names and you know the color of the carpet in the living room. And you have, the last one is you have refrigerator rights. Have you ever heard that? Bess, have you ever heard this in the business? Yeah, so you know their kids' names, meaning you know who the family is. You know the pets. You know the color of the flooring in their living room, whether it's hardwood, carpet. Back then it was really popular. I think that was a training from the early 80s. This gentleman got in the business in 1964. From 64 to 74, he basically built and got to one of the higher levels in his company in the first 5 years. Within 10 years, he was at the next level, which meant he had doubled in size, width-wise, in his company. Had thousands and thousands and thousands of people. By the early 80s, he was the dominant figure in that company. It took him about 15 years to become the dominant person, and he never lost that spot since, which is pretty good. He actually retired in the 90s. Went on to keep speaking. He's still alive today, earning commissions. It's ridiculous. Him and his wife have built, he has an individual leg of his business that's 1.2 million people, or 1.4 million people. So that's pretty good size out of the 25 legs. But he was the one who said that. And I know back then they talked a lot about, he's like, so if they have orange shag carpet. So I don't know if you remember shag carpet. Yep. So I don't know if you remember shag carpet or not, the orange shag carpet or the green shag carpet's really cool too. You actually didn't vacuum it. You took one of those metal rakes and you raked it and you found all kinds of things like toys and pencils and, maybe a couch, depending on how deep it was. I had those, if you remember that carpet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And tearing that stuff out was horrible. It just created like an asbestos storm when you tore it apart and tried to pull it out of a house. I had to pull a lot of that out of houses when we were redoing them. So But that carpet lasted. I mean, I think the reason it lasted is no matter where you wore a hole, the dust mites would all gather together and fill in the spots. But that's just, you know, we went over to people's houses, and did you know the flooring in people's rooms? Did you have refrigerator rights? What refrigerator rights is, certain friends you can go to the refrigerator and pull a drink out, and you don't have to physically ask first. I probably would, because that's just kind of how I was brought up. And, you know, certain friends of mine are like, you're stupid. You know, you've come over to my house for a decade. You've never had to ask, and you still ask. But do you have refrigerator rights? You talk about retention, knowing the flooring, knowing the color, knowing their kids' names, anniversaries, birthdays, and knowing this stuff. That's important. Yep. I can't tell if you're knocking. Hello? Hello, hello? Hey, what's up? I'm just doing a Facebook Live. Give me 2 seconds. So that's retention for people that you know. Here's the easiest thing for people you don't know. So this is in depth. Number one is a welcome call. Welcome call. So you have to be able to welcome people onto the team. Hi, and I'll just give you an example. Hi, my name is Jeff Gamble. I'm actually part of your support team. I know we don't know each other, but I just wanted to introduce myself. You know, I'm here to help out. Now, I know based on what I'm seeing is you actually got involved in the business through this person, because typically in a lot of sponsorship, you can see who sponsored them. I said, you're actually involved with this person. Is that correct? How do you guys know each other? And then I get the story of how those two know each other. If I can pull anything significant out of that story about how they knew each other, well, why did you get started in the business? That's another really important. Why'd you get started? Was it out of friendship? Was it because you like the product? Was it because you're looking for the money? I just gauged where they're at. And then it would always come around to, I would tell my story, my short story. Hi, my name's Jeff Gamble. You know, when I got in the business, I wasn't really looking for this, you know, but, you know, somebody shared it with me. I saw the money, I saw the opportunity. I hit on the 4 personality type things, you know, the money, the ability to help people, the ability, I saw some people having a bunch of fun doing trips and having time off. And I don't know if you know a lot of people in the real estate industry that rarely take time off. That's where I came from. And then, you know, they just kind of had their life together. You know, they had some security here that I haven't seen in other things. You know, certain people, if they lost 2 people in their office would basically go out of business. These people could lose 1,000 people, and it you know, it didn't affect their income at all. So I love the security aspect of building this. So after I told them that, I said, so that's kind of why I'm in it and why I'm doing it. I'd love to be able to meet you sometime. But I wanted to ask something, because you're on and part of my team. I just want to make sure everybody succeeds. Do I have your permission to keep you informed in everything that's going on? Once I built rapport with them and I connected, do I have your permission to keep you informed? And once I got their permission to keep them informed, they would go on my Focus 30 list of that month, and I would consistently follow up with them based on the information I got in their agent profile. So this is what I would do. Welcome call, agent profile, ask these questions, put them on the list. Then I would keep them informed, keep them informed, keep them informed. And that's how I was able to build to the point where we had my Focus 30 group turned into my Focus 300 group. You know, there are 300 people focused on, which means that's the top 10% of the organization. There were over 3,000 people active on the team doing something, but those were the top 300 that I wanted to, you know, keep in touch with. And then I looked for the top 1%. Out of those 300, who's producing at the highest level? And I would pick that group, and that would be the group that I'd have like really intimate discussions with about this kind of stuff. So that sort of was my retention. You cannot have retention if you're not overcoming attrition. And that would be a good way to say it. There is no retention if you're not overcoming attrition. Does that make sense? Because if more people are leaving the business than getting in based on what you're doing, then you can't retain people, because people have a feeling or a sense of loss and a sense of no security, because there's more people getting out of the business than getting in. So what you have to do is you have to beat that window or that percentage. Once you beat that percentage, then all of this stuff works really well. That's what I got.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'm going to turn this back over to you, but I'm actually going to clock off so that way it doesn't reverb back. Does that work? Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on, Bess. I appreciate everything. Tony, what's up?
Wait for Jeff to get off. Okay. I think I sound normal again. For some reason, the Facebook Live, when I invite him on or someone on, sometimes my phone will have that funny echoing sound. So I'm thinking I sound normal now, right, everybody? And I'll just add some things to that. Thank you, Jeff, so much for taking time out to come on and give us those tips. And by the way, Jeff has recruited over 5 as a record setter has been a record setter in his company. So he talks greatly from experience. And I'm going to just add a few more things here. So one of the ways to beat attrition, which is the same thing as increasing retention, is to recruit a lot of people, because there's a certain percentage that is just going to naturally die off after time. So you want to be prospecting a lot. I'd say 2 to 5 presentations a day. I think 2 a day will get you ahead of attrition. So want to be constantly telling, presenting and inviting new people to look at your product and business every day. That would be one way. I'm just going to go back to, oh, by the way, if you're watching the replay, I'd love if you guys type in replay. And I'd love to hear where you're from. How are you today? And how you are today. If you'd like to let me know by putting your favorite emoji in the comments, that would let me know how you're doing today, or express how you are. I'd love that. And also, if you have any questions, I will address those questions shortly. So, going to address customer retention. First of all, help your customer to be aware of the benefit that they're getting from the product, because they may, especially if it's a health product or something, they may have felt bad or had a certain problem that your product solves, but they may not be aware afterward. They may forget they had the problem when it goes away. So help them to be aware of the difference before and after. Gee, you said before your blood pressure was this, now it's this. Before you weren't sleeping and you were tired all the time. Now that's different. Your productivity and your happiness is up and your health is up, right? So help them to be aware so that they don't forget how they felt beforehand, and help them be aware of the differences now. Now, are you sleeping through the night? Now, what is your blood pressure? Because a lot of people just, once the problem's there, their attention's off it and they go on about their life, so they may not realize and connect how good they feel now to the product. So help them be aware of that, and then ask them for referrals. Do you know other people who maybe could benefit from this, who have the same problem? So you can get referrals from them, and of course after you service them, you can go back and ask that person, might you consider being a distributor for this as well? And you can also let them know one way to increase customer retention is let them know your customer stories, your testimonies you get from other people to reinforce the product and all. Now, talk about retention of recruits. Again, because you put in all that hard work and you want to get a return on that investment. But even more than that, you don't want anybody to leave before they gave network marketing a good shot, because it can change their life. And it would be very sad if they missed that opportunity to have a better life because they didn't have perhaps the good direction to optimize their new business. So what I want to talk about right now is really one of the 7 skills that Eric Worre talks about, which is getting distributors started right and fast. And that is one of the skills that we teach in our Sunday night class too. In fact, it's the number 1 of the 10 core skills, which is get them started right. And so you can apply these rules to yourself and to your new recruits. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Tony. So glad you guys are joining. And Laura, did I say hi to everybody? Alex, Scott, Marilyn, Lisa, Debbie, Glenna, Gary, Travis, and Laura, and Tony and Chris. So glad you guys all are here. I'd love if you just type hey, let me know that you're still on, because then I won't feel lonely over here. I love it when you do your likes and loves and when you share or tag people so other people can get benefit from this. So what I'm going to add to what the valuable stuff that Jeff said, and I took notes, I'm going to add about how to help a distributor get started right and help them have fast results, because that increases retention, because we know that a new recruit, the most often new recruits quit within the first 2 months. So they get discouraged, or they face some naysayers, or, you know, they run into something that's hard, so they quit. So we want to change that by giving the very best fast start that we can. Thanks, Lisa. Lisa's in our class. It's a pretty powerful class, right, Lisa? There's pretty jam-packed every week. So fast start, how to help people get started right. Part of that class is we teach an agent profile so that when they join up, Jeff mentioned that, when they join, you learn about them, their whys, their goals, where they want to go. You learn about that person. And as Tim Sales says, you should have your front lines goals taped to your refrigerator. You should memorize those so that every time that you talk to a distributor about, let's all get to the meeting, let's all bring somebody to the next convention so you can be home with your kids, so you can fire your boss, but you say their goals to them. Refer to that every time to sort of burn that in your brain. That's their why, that's going to motivate them. So what you can do, you do the agent profile, you get their whys and goals. Next, you help them understand that this is their business, their responsibility, and they're going to have ups and downs and discouragement. My friend Lisa Grossman likes to say, I will help you grow your business. And she says there's two parts to that. The first part is I will help. The second part is you grow your business. So she makes sure that that person understands it's their business and their responsibility. Then make sure that they're connected with the products, tools, the company back ends, have access to all the events, understand the comp plan even simply, and that they know how to invite and present. We teach in those Sunday night classes. Hi, Jeff. I think you're back on here. Welcome. We teach in those Sunday night classes a favor script that Jeff came up with, and that is that you text 10 people, you know, to get your new recruit started fast. You text 10 people. Hi, I want to let you know, I want to ask you a favor. I want to let you know what I'm doing in case you run across the right person that you can refer them to me. Is this a good time? And if it is, then you do a 10-minute presentation that contains the 5 parts. It would be 3 to 6 bullet points each about your company, the need, the product, the comp plan, and the timing. And then you follow up with, well, now that you know what I do, are you likely to give me a referral, or are you interested yourself? And if you're interested yourself, is it in the product, business, or both? And are you interested on a scale of 1 to 10? And then you know how to respond to them. Then you take them to a third-party tool, which ideally would be a 3-way call or an event or even a video. But the idea of all that is to lead them to joining. So that, in a real quick nutshell, is our a little bit of what we teach in that Sunday night class. It's also in a book called Always Get a Yes that comes with the class, or you can get the book separately too. I'll put the links to both. Actually, I'll say them now. MLMMillionaireclub.com/basics is the class. /yes is the book. So it's MLMMillionaireclub.com/basics is the class. Guess what? It's only $25 a month, you guys. It's really insanely inexpensive. We have somebody joining today who just said, I can't afford private coaching right now, but I definitely can afford the class. That's why we made it that price. And people are sending their people too. So that class includes the book, but if you want to get the book alone, it's MLMMillionaireclub.com/yes. And it contains the scripts of how to do this. It's a very short book. It's real easy to read and follow. So that's how you get your new distributor going fast. You say text 10 people. Most of them respond, and out of that, 1 or 2 become a customer distributor. So that person has a good, quick start. The whole idea is to get them their first customer real fast, their first distributor, their first check, get them to an event, get them recognized. So that's the whole reason for all this. You give them specific instructions on what their next step is. I like to suggest that you just give them one thing at a time to do. Okay, now do this, and come let me know when you did it. Or be in touch by next Sunday. We'll see how you did. But you just give them one thing at a time to do and get back with you about. You can also ask them for their testimonial story or for their own testimonial story within 60 days. You can create a team culture that you do 3 simple things. For example, you invite, you present, and get them to the event so they get signed up. It could be that simple, the team culture. We suggest that you do at least one help your new recruit do at least one presentations a day. Tell your own encouraging stories to your new recruit. Help them a little bit with time management. Encourage personal growth. Help them to think years down the road, to be here a year from now, and then again and again. Help them to think long range and to focus. Maybe you can invite them to do a 30-day challenge with you. Maybe you're doing one presentation a day or two or five even. So every action that you do, think, does it duplicate? Every action you do with your new recruit, does this duplicate? Does this make them dependent on me or independent of me? Of course, you want independent. And my friend Stephanie Legato, a top earner, says, I like to encourage people, study for 30 days before you go and do anything. Give this your best shot. Consider this going to school for 30 days and learn all this stuff before you go out and talk with your new people. So those are my suggestions for retention, for helping people get started fast and right and be able to keep them. Just think, if you were started this way, and think if your new recruit is started this way, what greater chance they would have of retaining, staying in, having success, and most importantly, changing their life. It would be so sad to let that chance go and not give them this best start, and to have that that best retention that you can. So did this help you guys? Did you get something from it? I'd love if you type in a takeaway that you got or a question that you have. Love if you type that in, even if you're watching the replay, because I'll come back and watch those notes. Love if you like, comment, share if you're getting value from it. Let other people get value, because we want to help as many people as we can. Next Tuesday's live at noon Eastern time is called How to Optimize the Holidays for Year's End, because we have 3 holidays coming up real soon: Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Hanukkah, and New Year's. And you can go to these and let them go by, or you can actually use them to have a great end of the year. So we're going to talk about how to do that, how to use that time. It can be a wonderful time for your business, because you're going to get out and see people you haven't seen for a while, or even meet new people. And it's a perfect social time, not to recruit there, but to start developing contacts that you can be back in touch with later. So how to optimize the holidays, next Tuesday. Welcome, Jacob. We're just signing off right now, but it was kind of a jam-packed session, and I hope that you all watch it and can get benefit from it. And Jacob, wishing you well, and everyone. Thank you for being on. Going to conclude now. We'll see you next Tuesday, as well as at the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Shows, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern Time, where Jeff and I cover one of the 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, because you got to develop leaders. That's part of retaining, part of retention. Develop leaders, not followers, and not focus on your income, but focus on growing leaders. So we talk about that then too. So love to see you. Thank you for the likes and loves, everybody. Thank you, Lisa. I see that. And everybody take care. Wishing you a great rest of the day and the week. Take care. Bye-bye.